on promises, that was one thing I wrote down that I read from your that I listened to in your press conference. There's just some things that struck me that were unique about you and about the ownership group, and that's one of the things. It's like usually owners, they want to come in and you want to promise big. All right, everybody get excited. There we go. 2 years, we're going to be Serie A, we're going to be Scudetto champs, this and that. And it's great. And, you win people in the short term. But the one thing I think you repeated like 17 times.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not making promises.
Yeah.
You're like, the only promise I can make you is we're going to put our head down and we're going to work hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing you could ask for at the end of the day. Like, the results will come if you do the right things. What's really funny is that what that reminds me of is Conte's first press conference at Juventus. He said, no promises, but we're going to put our head down and work hard.
Yeah.
He won the Scudetto that year. But
Hopefully we do the other way around, whatever Conte say, please.
Okay, fair enough.
At Juventus, you said
At
that,
Juventus.
right?
At Juventus.
Yeah,
Okay,
Juventus.
let's not mix
At
things
Juventus.
up, right?
I said Juventus his first time.
No, you're totally right, Marco. And look, you're building a great platform here too. I mean, I bet when I started my business, I didn't go out on day one when I was in a basement and I didn't have any money and all that. I didn't go out on day one and say, I'm going to go build the best business in our industry. I just put my head down. I learned. I made some mistakes. We all make mistakes in entrepreneurship. And you pick your head up and 10, 11 years later, you've built something really special. And you have built a Serie A level company. And that's how I look at this project. I look at this project as it's the same formula. It's hard work, it's innovation, it's making mistakes, it's experimenting, it's, having the right people in place. And, you do that. And I'd rather say that's the guarantee we're going to make. And if you do that, usually it works out in the end than saying we're going to be in Serie B in 2 years or Serie A in 5 years or whatever. Because also we don't want to put limits on this. Who knows? I mean, the sky is the limit too. And sometimes when you set goals for yourself, you're also selling yourself short. You might not realize it at the time, but the goals you set, you might be able to exceed those goals. So that's why I prefer not to set goals.
To hit the elephant in the room, there's been a lot of owners from America who've gone to Serie A and or gone to Italy and have not done well and have failed with it. We've seen Mike Piazza, we've seen many Pallotta who've had bad falling outs with the Italian government. Number one, was that a concern for you? Number two, and I know this answer, but how are you gonna be? I'm not gonna say different, but what's your approach to that?
That's a great question, Marco. You mentioned Mike Piazza earlier. The first thing I want to say is that any American investor who's went into, especially with Italian roots like Piazza, Pallotta, when they go into, and they're very successful in their own right, but they absolutely are going in part, not in full, but in part for sentimental reasons. Mike Piazza was sitting there after his baseball career. He was he was changing diapers and the whole bit, and he needed something to do. He was very connected to his Italian roots, so he went in there. But he went in there as an operator. He went in there as a club president, and I didn't want to do that. I had seen a lot of the experiences of American investors who went into Italy to buy Italian soccer clubs failed. The one thing I saw that they had in common was that they tried to run the clubs. Piazza went to Reggiana, and I think by the end of his time there, I mean, they were throwing not just eggs, much worse than eggs at his house, and. I didn't want to do that. I don't pretend to know the first thing about running an Italian soccer club. That's why I looked at the current organization and leadership they had with Mario and with Mr. Cudini and Mandragora. They have a great organization. They know what they're doing on the field. They know what they're doing on the balance sheet. And my job, in addition, obviously, to investing capital, is to expanding the brand, turning this into a global brand and, helping bring new investors to the table. But I have a very clearly defined role, and I didn't want to be the operator. I don't want to be the club president, because that's been a movie that never ends well from, what I've seen before.
That's a very humble step back, I think, because obviously, you're an owner, I can control everything. And I think some of them go in there with that fist of where in America you could get away with that. You're very much like you're in control. You could do things your way.
Yep.
And it doesn't always work out like that in